The night breathes with a heaviness that weighs down on the soul, thick and silent, pressing against the fragile veil between waking and dreaming. In that fragile moment, when your eyelids grow heavy and your thoughts begin to scatter like dying embers, something unseen stirs just beyond the edge of your vision. It waits in the shadows cast by the pale moonlight, where dust motes drift lazily in forgotten corners, where the air grows cold without warning. You don't hear it at first. The subtle creak of a wooden floorboard, the faint scrape of tiny feet moving just out of reach, but you feel it, a chill that sinks past your skin, curling around your spine like icy fingers. The darkness itself seems to lean in closer, as if eager to whisper a secret no one alive should ever know. Your breath catches, heart stutters, but you dare not open your eyes, because once you do, the forgotten doll will be there. It's not the cheerful, innocent companion you remember from childhood. The doll in your memory is a remnant, a relic left behind by time and neglect. Its porcelain face cracked, eyes dulled to lifeless marbles that somehow still watch you. Its clothes, once bright and joyful, now hang in tatters, threadbare and stained with a history you will never understand. It waits patiently in that corner, cloaked in shadow, as if aware that your gaze will eventually find it. The air shifts, colder now, as if the night itself has exhaled a breath of ice. No one ever talks about the curse. It isn't written in books or whispered in legends. It slips quietly through families, passed down like an unspoken truth. Those who once loved the doll suffer in silence. The curse wraps itself around the soul, a slow, creeping darkness that follows you into your dreams and won't let go. You might think it's just your imagination playing tricks. After all, dolls are just toys, innocent, lifeless, but that's where you're wrong. The curse isn't about the doll itself. It's about what the doll represents. The forgotten promises, the abandoned innocence, the unspoken regrets buried beneath layers of time and dust. And once the curse finds you, it anchors itself deep inside your mind, weaving through your thoughts, growing stronger with every sleepless night. You hear a soft tapping, rhythmic and deliberate, like fingernails tracing the edge of a wooden table. It starts with dreams that don't feel like dreams. The air thickens, and shadows deepen until the world blurs at the edges. You see the doll's face in flashes, just a glimpse before it disappears into the darkness. You try to shake it off, but the feeling lingers, a weight that settles over your chest and squeezes tight. Nights grow longer. Your waking hours become haunted by glimpses of something just out of reach. A silhouette moving in the corner of your eye, a whisper curling around your name, cold breath against your neck. You tell yourself it's nothing, but every night the whispers grow louder, more insistent, until they drown out your thoughts. The curse feeds on fear, but not the kind you can scream away. It thrives on the quiet terror, the slow unraveling of your mind as reality and nightmare bleed together. The doll isn't a monster in the traditional sense. It doesn't roar or attack. Instead, it lingers in the space between moments, a shadow that can't be escaped, a presence that won't be denied. A sudden, soft creak echoes, like a door gently closing somewhere deep within a forgotten house. You want to run, but where would you go? The curse follows you through every room, every shadow, every silence. It waits until your defenses are down, until your eyelids finally close and the world slips away. Then it moves in. You can feel it settling beside your bed, cold and still, watching you with those glassy eyes. Its presence is like a weight, crushing and unyielding, pressing into your dreams until they twist into nightmares. You try to scream, but no sound comes. You try to open your eyes, but the darkness holds you tight. And when you wake, the doll is always closer. It's been years since you last saw it in the daylight. You tried to forget. You told yourself it was just a childhood memory, nothing more. But the curse doesn't forget. It waits patiently, buried beneath the rubble of your mind, ready to drag you back into the shadows when you least expect it. Some say the only way to break the curse is to remember, to face the forgotten pain, the buried secrets, the part of yourself you tried to leave behind. But memory is a dangerous thing, and the past has claws. You wonder what happened to the child who once held the doll with love and wonder. What dreams were shattered? What promises broken? The curse lives in that fracture, the space where innocence died and something darker took root. The sound of soft, rhythmic tapping grows louder, more urgent, echoing through the silent room like a heartbeat in the dark. And so the nights go on, each one a battle against the creeping dread, each morning a brief reprieve before the cycle begins again. The forgotten doll waits, patient and unyielding, a curse that won't let go. You know it's coming. You feel it even now, creeping closer with each passing moment. The night deepens, the shadows grow long, and somewhere just beyond the edge of your vision, the doll stirs. You close your eyes, but the darkness is not empty. It's waiting. It was never just a toy. It was never meant to be forgotten. And now it's yours. The curse doesn't announce itself with thunder or lightning. It doesn't crash through your door or scream your name. It waits, patient as a predator stalking the slow pulse of your heartbeat. It feeds on the moments when your mind lets down its guard, when you drift between waking and dreaming, and the thin line separating reality becomes a blurred, fragile thread. You start to notice the little things, a shadow shifting just beyond the corner of your eye, the faintest brush of something cold against your skin, like a breath that isn't yours, the heavy silence that falls in the room as if the air itself is holding its breath. Your fingers twitch, restless and cold, as if they remember a touch long lost. Your dreams twist into labyrinths you can't escape, hallways lined with cracked porcelain faces and eyes that glimmer with something unnatural. The dolls whisper secrets in a language you almost understand, a lullaby warped by time and pain. A faint, rhythmic tapping echoes somewhere deep in the silence. You try to speak about it, but the words catch like thorns in your throat. No one believes you. How could they? To them, it's just a silly story, a childish fear. But you know the truth. You've felt it in the dead of night, the cold stare that pierces the dark, the invisible weight pressing down on your chest, squeezing until you feel like you might drown in your own breath. The doll's curse is not just a haunting. It's an imprisonment. Your mind becomes a cage where memories are both the bars and the locks. You try to flee into distraction, work, friends, noise, but the silence always returns, and with it, the doll's gaze. You remember the last time you saw it clearly. The chipped paint on its face, the faded dress hanging limp and torn. It was sitting on the edge of your childhood bed, perfectly still, but its eyes seemed to flicker with a terrible life. You thought you were safe, that the daylight would wash away the shadows. But night always comes, and with it, the curse. Soft, dragging footsteps approach slowly across the floorboards. Sleep becomes a battlefield. You fight for each moment of rest, but the doll never lets go. It stalks your dreams like a specter, turning your sanctuary into a trap. The more you resist, the stronger it grows, feeding on your fear, your loneliness, your despair. You wonder if you're losing your mind, if the curse is just a reflection of something deeper, a fracture in your soul you've tried to ignore. But the curse is real as the cold breath on your neck, as real as the eyes that watch you from the darkness. And then the whispers begin, soft, cruel, unending, calling your name in voices that sound like echoes from another life. A faint, chilling laughter drifts through the air, distant but unmistakable. The doll wants more than to be remembered. It wants to consume you, to drag you into the darkness where forgotten things go to die. You can feel its presence growing stronger, tightening its grip around your mind and heart. You try to fight back. You burn the doll, bury it deep, throw it into the sea. But it always returns, reborn in shadows, waiting for the moment you close your eyes. Because the curse is not bound to flesh or bone. It's tied to the very essence of forgetting, to the fragile, aching fear of being left behind and lost forever. And as the night deepens, you realize the terrible truth. You will never escape the forgotten doll. You are its prisoner now. You wake in a cold sweat. Again, third time this week. Your sheets are twisted around your legs like the remnants of a battle you barely survived. The room is pitch black, save for the faint outline of the window, where the moon sulks behind a veil of clouds. The silence presses in like a wall, dense and waiting, as if the night is holding its breath for what comes next. You tell yourself it was just a nightmare. You always do, but the smell, that subtle, almost sweet, yet deeply rotten scent, is still in the room. It clings to the air, lingers on your skin, threads through your hair. And then there's the unmistakable sensation, the feeling that you are not alone. You sit up slowly, eyes darting to the dark corners of your room. You expect to see nothing, but your gaze freezes on a shape. Small, slouched, too perfectly still. Your mouth dries instantly. The doll is sitting on your dresser. You know for a fact it wasn't there when you went to sleep. You haven't seen it in years. Not since the fire. Not since you threw it into the flames and watched it blacken and shrivel like a dead leaf. Not since you laughed. Yes, actually laughed, as it cracked and twisted in the firelight. And yet here it is, unburned, unbroken, waiting. You want to scream. You want to leap from the bed and tear it apart with your bare hands. But your body won't move. Your limbs feel nailed in place. Your voice lost in the back of your throat. The only thing you can do is stare. And in that stare, you feel it not just the weight of the curse, but something deeper. The doll is watching you back. The room groans. A long, low creak like the house itself is exhaling. A thought slithers into your mind, unwelcome and unshakable. You never understood what the curse really was. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about pain. It was about loneliness. You see, the doll was never evil. It was abandoned. You forgot it, left it in a box, buried it beneath your new life, your adult mind, your responsibilities. You discarded the part of yourself that loved it once. And like all forgotten things, it decayed in silence, waiting, suffering. And now, it remembers. Your heartbeat pounds like war drums. The silence between thumps becomes unbearable. And then, a slow knock on the wall. Not your door, not the window, the wall. You jump. Your body finally answers you, but not in the way you wanted. It flinches violently, recoiling from the sound like it could crawl out of your skin. You know, somehow that if you speak, if you acknowledge it, it will respond. You stay still. The knocking stops. You glance back to the dresser. The doll is gone. Your stomach drops into your feet. You don't move. You don't breathe. You just listen. Silence. Silence. Then a soft dragging sound across the wooden floor, like porcelain limbs being pulled by invisible strings. And then the voice.
No whisper. No ghost limoan.
Just a child's voice, innocent and cold. You promised you'd never leave me. Your skin turns to ice. You leap from the bed at last, fumbling for the lamp switch. Light floods the room and it's empty. Empty dresser, empty corners, empty floor. You're shaking. You don't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, you find something at the foot of your bed. A single blackened ribbon. You recognize it immediately. It belonged to the doll. You remember tying it around her cracked neck the day you tried to fix her, long ago, before things got bad, before the dreams, before the whispers. You should throw it away, but you don't. You can't. Because as much as you want to believe this was all just a hallucination, deep down, something inside you knows it's only beginning. The curse isn't a memory, it's a presence. And now that it has found you again, it won't let go. You carry the ribbon in your pocket for days, afraid to throw it out, afraid to keep it. It's a tether to something unspeakable. But you tell yourself it's just cloth, just a stupid, burnt piece of fabric. Until one night at 3:17 a.m., exactly when the dreams always used to begin, you wake up gasping for air. She's in the hallway. You don't know how you know, but you do. You rise from bed, feet bare and trembling on the cold floor. Your hand reaches for the door. Your breath is ragged, but your body keeps moving, pulled forward by something that isn't you. And when you open the door, a music box plays faintly in the distance, the melody warping like it's underwater. Down the hallway, you follow the sound, each step slower than the last. The walls feel narrower. The light above flickers. The floor creaks beneath your weight like it's resisting your presence. And at the very end of the hall, beneath the attic pull-down, you see her. The doll, standing, not sitting, not lying, standing, arms limp at her sides, head tilted at a grotesque angle, eyes locked with yours, though they are lifeless and glassy. But you feel her watching, waiting. The melody stops. You should run, but your legs betray you. And then she takes a step. The wooden floor beneath her doesn't creak. It booms. One step closer. You try to scream, but nothing comes out. One more step. She raises one hand, and in it, your ribbon, the one you carried. She drops it at your feet and speaks again. You forgot me, but I never forgot you. The hallway light bursts with a pop, plunging everything into blackness. Darkness, not just the absence of light, but a kind of living, breathing black. The kind that crawls beneath your skin and clings to your bones. The kind that tastes like iron and fear in the back of your throat. You don't know how long you stand there, frozen in that choking silence. Seconds, minutes, hours. But when the emergency light flickers to life, dim, red, and pulsing, the hallway is empty. No doll, no ribbon, no music box, just you and the sound of your own heart hammering like it's trying to escape your chest. You stumble back to your room, locking the door behind you like it matters anymore. You sit in the corner until dawn, watching the door, whispering to yourself that this isn't real, that it's all some kind of nightmare stitched together by guilt and insomnia. But you know better, because something deep inside you, something ancient and instinctive, keeps whispering that the doll hasn't left. It's hiding, it's waiting, and this time it doesn't want to be remembered. It wants to be obeyed. The next few days pass in a haze of paranoia and half-sleep. Every shadow becomes a threat. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights, every breath of wind against the windows. All of it feels wrong, like your house is a stage, and the performance hasn't yet begun. And then the dreams return. They're worse now. They don't wait for sleep. They bleed into your waking moments like ink in water. You'll be making coffee, and suddenly your hands are porcelain, cold, cracked. You'll blink, and they're yours again, but the coffee tastes like dust. You'll be staring out the window, and the reflection beside yours will smile before you do. You try to reach out. You try to find someone who might understand. You even call your sister, the only person who knew about the doll, who was there when it all started all those years ago. Her voice trembles when you bring it up. I told you to bury that part of us, she says, low and terrified. You open something and now it's awake. Don't say her name. Don't even think it. She hangs up before you can reply. You don't call her again. You don't sleep again. And then it happens. You wake up one night and you're not in your bed. You're sitting in the attic. You don't know how you got there. Your arms are stiff. Your fingers curled into your palms. You try to move and something snaps, something inside you. Your breathing is shallow, mechanical. You feel posed. The attic is lit by dozens of small candles. They cast long, dancing shadows along the wooden beams, shadows that bend and stretch in impossible directions. There are dolls everywhere now, shelves of them, broken ones, old ones, new ones with glass eyes and stitched mouths. They all face the center. They all face you. And at the center, on a throne of old boxes and forgotten memories, she sits, the forgotten doll. Her face is different now, not just aged but evolved, no longer a child's plaything. She looks like something that should have been buried under the earth, wrapped in chains and prayers. Her porcelain skin glows faintly. Her eyes are deep and infinite, like black wells that lead to nowhere. And her smile, a sharp, electric hum rises, like 1,000 voices trying to scream through a single wire. She speaks, but her mouth doesn't move. You left me in silence. Now I fill the silence with you. You try to move, to speak, but your body doesn't obey. You're stuck in place, a marionette with invisible strings. She stands and begins to walk toward you, and with every step, you feel something else snap inside you. Memories, promises, time. You don't remember the things we shared, You left me behind with the monsters in your mind. So now, I become your memory. You feel something cold slide into your chest. Not a knife, not a hand, something older. Presence. Part of her. The part that had always been watching from the corners of your dreams. Waiting for this moment. And then she leans close. You will never be alone again. The candles extinguish all at once with a violent gust. Darkness consumes everything. You scream, but it doesn't come out of your mouth. It echoes from inside the doll. You wake up. Your bed. Your room. Morning sun pouring through the window. You gasp for air. It was a dream. A dream. Just a dream. But your hands are stained with wax. Your fingers, stiff. You run to the mirror. You look normal. Your face. Your eyes. Your breath fogs the glass. But then, you blink. And your reflection doesn't. It just stares. Smiles. Somewhere in the distance, the faint whir of a music box starts playing again. You turn from the mirror. And sitting on your pillow, the doll. She's smiling wider now. And this time, she winks. You throw the doll across the room. It hits the wall with a dull thud, slides down, and lands face up on the floor, still smiling.
No cracks.
No damage. Just the same impossible grin, the same knowing eyes. You back away like it's a wild animal ready to pounce. But it doesn't move. Of course, it doesn't move. Because dolls don't move when you watch them. Only when you don't. You grab your phone. You're shaking, barely able to unlock the screen. You start recording a video of the doll, needing proof. Evidence that you're not losing your mind. You speak into the camera, explaining everything. The dreams, the attic, the whispers, the reflection. You leave the phone recording and step out of the room. 5 minutes. That's all you need. Just 5 minutes to breathe, to gather your thoughts, to feel human again. But when you return, the phone is smashed, shattered, crushed, like something stomped on it with deliberate fury. And the doll? She's back on the bed, sitting upright, waiting. You begin searching online. Forums, old articles, obscure corners of the web where the line between reality and insanity blurs. You're not the first, not the only one. The doll has had other names, other owners, other stories, all the same ending. She chooses those who forget. One post reads, "She doesn't forgive the ungrateful." Another, "Burning doesn't work. Burying makes her stronger. Returning her? Fatal." And one that stops your heart cold. "The only way to survive is to play." The post is cryptic, but the implication is clear. You have to engage with her. Not fight, not run, not resist. Obey. That night, you place the doll in a chair in front of you. Candlelight flickers between you, throwing monstrous shadows on the walls. You speak to her. You apologize. You thank her for the imaginary tea parties, for the protection, for the secrets you once shared when you were too young to understand what secrets could become. You do it because you're terrified, because your mind is fraying at the edges, unraveling like a spool of thread pulled too tight, and because her smile, her dreadful, patient smile, widened the moment you began. The walls begin to creak, as if something massive is shifting behind them. Then her voice, your voice, echoes from the dark. Better. You're learning, but you have not yet remembered. You whisper, "Remembered what?" And then you do, like floodgates slamming open inside your brain. Memories you never knew were missing pour in. You see your younger self holding the doll in a garden at twilight. You see the other children, blank eyes, rigid movements, watching from the trees. You see a circle of salt around the base of a tree stump. You see yourself placing the doll on it. You see her eyes turn black. And you hear your own voice, young and hollow. "I give what is mine to keep what is not." Then darkness. You jolt back, gasping, the candle sputtering out with a hiss. You're alone in the room again, or so you think, until the lights flicker on. And you see them, the children, porcelain skin, empty eyes, lining the walls of your room, motionless, waiting. And at the center, on your chair, she sits, the doll. Only now, she isn't just porcelain. She's part you. Your eyes, your smile, your soul carved and reshaped into something permanent. The air splits with the sound of glass cracking under immense pressure. You try to scream. Nothing comes. The children begin to move, slowly, synchronized, like puppets on invisible strings. They reach toward you not to harm but to claim. One by one, they press their cold hands against your skin. And in those moments of contact, flashes of their lives, fragmented, shattered, burst into your mind. Each one forgotten, each one given, each one replaced by her. That's the curse. You didn't just forget her. You sacrificed your memory of her in exchange for protection, love, safety. And now she's come to collect. The doll's head tilts. You gave me your childhood. She lifts a hand. You gave me your fears. The children begin to chant, their voices monotone, rhythmic. You gave her your name. You fall to your knees, the floor beneath you groaning as if it's about to collapse. The walls begin to drip, not water, but ink. Thick, black, slow-moving, creeps toward your feet like it's hungry. And then the doll stands. Her dress, once pink and sweet, is now rotted and dark, soaked in something that moves. She steps forward, and each step erases light. You forgot what you were, she says, and now you become what you left behind. She reaches for your face. A sharp, rising screech pierces the air, like nails dragged across the surface of time itself. And just before she touches you, you wake up, but this time not in your bed. You're in a room you don't recognize. Cold tile floors, fluorescent lights flickering overhead. A white coat approaches you. He's holding a clipboard. You're awake, he says, forcing a tight smile. We weren't sure if you'd come back. You were found catatonic, holding a porcelain doll. He gestures to a small window. Beyond it, your family, tear-streaked, hopeful. You've been gone for years, the man says. You rise slowly, look down at your hands. Normal, alive, free. Then you hear it, the music box playing faintly in the hallway. And you understand, this wasn't your escape. It was her invitation. You freeze, not because of the music, but because of what it carries. A memory not yours, yet rooted deep in your bones. That tune, delicate and distorted, winds through the hallway like a spider weaving its trap. The doctor says something else, but his voice fades under the lullaby. You rise, step toward the window. Your family stares back, smiling, but their eyes are vacant. Too wide, too still. Something's wrong. You blink. Your mother tilts her head, jerky, unnatural. Your father raises his hand, slowly, like a puppet fighting its strings. And your sister? She's holding something small, porcelain. You slam your fist against the glass. No one flinches. The doctor touches your shoulder. Please lie down. You need rest. You turn. He's smiling too now. Too much teeth. Not enough soul. A sudden thud echoes in the hallway, like something heavy being dropped behind the walls. You shove past him, out the door, into the corridor. It stretches impossibly long, fluorescent lights blinking in sequence, guiding you toward the source. The music box grows louder, and underneath it whispering.
Familiar.
Voices from childhood, stitched together in nursery rhyme and nightmare. Round and round the doll will go. Where she stops, no one knows. You run. You have to, not away toward it. You reach a door at the end, labeled in black marker. Do not enter, but it's already open. You step through into darkness. The door slams shut behind you. Complete silence. Then a slow creaking, as if a rocking chair begins to move. A single bulb flickers to life overhead. There, in the center of the room, sits the doll. Legs crossed, arms resting neatly in her lap, staring directly at you. You open your mouth to speak, but she raises a finger to her lips. And then she speaks. But it's your voice. Why did you forget me? The words bounce around the room, as if 100 versions of you repeat them in unison. I was your only friend, the one who listened, the one who kept your secrets. She stands, her movements too fluid for porcelain. The room begins to shift. Walls stretch. The floor ripples like water. You promised you'd never leave. More lights flicker on. Shelves line the walls, filled with dolls. Every one of them has a face. A real face, as too human. Mouths caught mid-scream. You recognize some. From old photos, childhood friends, cousins, that neighbor girl who vanished without a trace. All forgotten, all hers. You step back, hit something behind you. A mirror. Your reflection stares back. Only it isn't you. It's the doll, wearing your skin. I took your place once before, the reflection says. And I can do it again. You scream and smash the mirror. It shatters, but the shards don't fall. They float, and in every piece, a different memory. You as a child burying the doll in the backyard, crying, begging it to stop talking. You drawing symbols in chalk, not knowing what they meant. You whispering in your sleep, the doll curled beside you like a lover. You whisper, "What do you want?" She steps closer. To finish what you started. The room begins to hum with a low frequency, like a heartbeat from underground. You gave me part of your soul to forget your pain, to forget him, but that came with a price. Suddenly it rushes back. Your brother, your twin, the one who drowned when you were 5. You forgot him, not naturally. The doll took the memory. She took his pain, and yours, and now she wants more. You're hollow without him, she says. I kept you whole. You owe me. She holds out her hand. Pact, a reunion, an end, and you realize this isn't a haunting. It's a harvest. You can choose to forget again, give up something else. Your name, your love, your joy, or you reach into your pocket. You don't remember putting it there, but your fingers wrap around it instinctively. The locket, his locket. Inside, a photo, 2 children smiling. You and him. You clutch it to your chest. Tears fall. For the first time in years, you remember the way he laughed. The way he held your hand in the dark. The promise you made under the tree. We'll never be apart. You look at the doll. I remember now. The lights explode in a cascade of sparks. She screams. Not loud, but shrill and crumbling. Like a castle collapsing stone by stone. The shelves shatter. The other dolls fall. Their eyes close. Their mouths still. You're surrounded by silence. She steps back, faltering. Her porcelain begins to crack. Hairline at first, then deeper. You chose him over me, she rasps. No, you say, stepping forward. I chose me. And you open the locket. The photo burns with golden light. She howls. Her arms twist. Her legs buckle. She collapses to the ground, breaking into pieces that vanish before they hit the floor. You fall to your knees, not in fear, in relief, because for the first time in your life, the weight is gone. The forgotten is remembered, and the curse is broken, or so you think. A soft creaking, like a tiny hinge opening behind you. You turn. On the floor, a single shard of porcelain. Still warm, still watching. You reach for it, hesitant. The shard lies there, innocently angled, catching the dim light of the flickering ceiling bulb. But as your fingers hover inches above it, the air around you thickens, like syrup in your lungs. You pause, look closer. Inside the shard's reflection. Not the room, not you, but a playground, rusted swings, an empty carousel spinning in the wind. And that same doll, whole again, sitting on a bench, staring at the ground. You jerk your hand back, but it's too late. A sudden whoosh as if something just exhaled through the walls. The floor groans beneath you. The ceiling stretches upward, and you fall without moving. The space around you collapses inward, sucking the light into itself. You're not in the room anymore. You're back in your childhood home. Same wallpaper, same furniture, same smell of dust and rain. Your legs move on their own, down the hall, past the photos you now remember but wish you didn't. One photo stops you and your brother smiling, and beside you a third child, face scratched out. You step into your old room. It's untouched. On the bed, the doll, sitting calmly, cross-legged, like she never left. You whisper, "How?" She doesn't move, doesn't speak, but something behind her does. The closet door opens. Inside, a body hangs from a rope. Small, too small. It's you. You back away, slam into the dresser. The doll stands. You blink, and she's inches from your face. Her eyes are black holes now, bottomless, pulling. "You never left this place?" She whispers, voice splitting into several, echoing around your skull. "You died here."
No.
"Yes, you chose to forget, to escape, to pretend. And I let you. I made you. But you came back. You run. Through the hallway again. But this time it stretches into impossible shapes. Stairs leading to nowhere. Doors that open into other doors. Laughter. Children's voices. Your brother's scream. A lullaby turned inside out. You crash into the kitchen. Your family is seated around the table. Unmoving. Unblinking. Your mother's head turns a full 180 degrees to look at you. "You're just in time," she says. They all rise. Their joints crack like splintering wood. They advance. You scream. Fall backward. The doll's voice everywhere now. "Say it." "What?" "Say it." I remember him." Silence. The family freezes. The house stops shifting. You kneel. Shaking. Eyes closed. And then, the soft ticking of a clock.
Familiar.
Calming. You open your eyes. You're in a hospital bed. Machines beep beside you. And 4 in your arm. A nurse walks in, gasps, then rushes out. Voices. Running. A man enters, eyes wide. Tears on his cheeks. "Doctor." "He's awake." More footsteps. Questions. Hands touching your forehead. Voices echoing. But you're still somewhere in between. They say you were in a coma. For weeks.
À car accident.
No one thought you'd come back. They don't know what you saw, what you gave, what you remember. They don't know the doll still waits. Somewhere, in a corner of your mind. Watching, smiling, waiting for you to forget again. And if you do, she'll be back. Because she never left. She never lets go. They release you a week later. Doctors say it's a miracle. They say your vitals stabilized overnight. That your brain activity went from static to symphony in a single hour. You nod. You thank them. You smile politely as they ask if you remember anything. You lie. You say no. Because if you did tell them, what would you even say? That your childhood doll possessed your soul? That it devoured the pain you couldn't carry? That your dead brother's laughter lives in the cracks of your memory like a ghost under glass? No. You carry the truth the way one carries a hot coal in the hand. Quietly, deliberately, you return home. The real home. Or at least that's what they tell you it is. The city seems colder now. Buildings unfamiliar. Sounds too loud. Light too sharp. You avoid mirrors. The first night back, you lock every door. Every window. You leave every light on. You sit on the edge of the bed, breathing deep, trying to believe that it's over. But the shadows dance wrong. Your pillow's indentation is unfamiliar. And they're on your desk. The locket, closed, heavy. You reach for it, trembling, but don't open it. Instead, you place it in a drawer and slam it shut. You won't forget. You can't. But even still, sleep takes you like a thief. And in that sleep, you find yourself standing at the base of a staircase. Wooden, ancient, carved with strange runes you somehow understand. A door at the top waits, slightly ajar. From behind it, the soft sound of porcelain tapping wood. You climb. Each step echoes not just around you, but through you. Behind the door is a small room. Dusty. Familiar. It smells like childhood. And blood. The doll sits in a rocking chair. Waiting. She doesn't speak this time. She stares. And in that stare, you see your own face again. But older. Twisted. Smiling like she used to. You reach for your chest. There's a crack. A line running across your ribs. Thin as a spider's thread. You touch it and it sings. Not pain. Not music. something in between. She tilts her head, like she knows what's happening, like she's pleased. You wake up drenched in sweat. The room is dark, though you left the lights on. The window is open, though you locked it. And on your chest, faint white mark, porcelain. You rush to the mirror. There it is. The line. Real. You scream, rip your shirt, touch it again, and feel nothing. No pain. But you know what it means. She didn't vanish. She moved in. You were the doll once. Now you're the shell. Days pass. You try everything. Burn the locket. Trash old photos. Block out the nightmares with pills and static. But nothing stops the sound. That soft lullaby, drifting in and out like a memory you didn't ask for. And every morning, the line spreads, a little more, a little deeper. You start seeing things out of the corners of your eyes. A child's hand, a flick of braided hair, the sound of footsteps in your apartment. Even when you haven't moved in hours, you leave food out. It disappears. You scream into empty rooms. No answer. Until one night, you wake, not because of the sound, but because of silence. And standing at the foot of your bed, she's taller now, her face more human. She's learning, adapting, wearing you like a coat. I'm almost ready, she whispers. For what? You croak, unable to move. She smiles. To take the rest. You try to run, but your body doesn't listen. You're trapped in your own bones. Your limbs move, but not because you told them to. She raises your hand, waves, and you, the real you, slip further into the dark. She's not haunting anymore. She's replacing. Each night she takes a little more. Your laugh, your memories, your face, until one morning, you don't wake up, but someone else does, and everyone calls her by your name, smiles at her in the mirror, hugs her on the street, never noticing that her eyes don't blink quite right, that her smile holds too long, that when she speaks, there's a flicker of something ancient in her tone, and beneath her skin, porcelain, fine, flawless, cracked, but not broken, never broken, and somewhere, in a dark corner of her soul, your scream echoes, and echoes, and echoes, but no one hears you. Not your friends. Not the doctor who checks her pulse and says she's perfectly healthy. Not the neighbor who swears you've never looked better. Not even your mother, who hugs the imposter tightly and says, I'm just so happy to have you back. You're still in there. You feel everything. You scream when she laughs. You claw from the inside when she smiles into the mirror. But all you touch is smooth ceramic. Polished, unyielding. She walks your life now, perfectly rehearsed. Every gesture, every phrase, better than you ever were. She knows your secrets, your flaws. She doesn't try to hide them. She fixes them. She becomes the version of you that everyone always wanted. They love her. They don't even miss you. And every night, when the lights go out, she stands in front of the mirror, head tilting slowly, staring deeply into your shared reflection, and smiles, not at herself, at you, buried beneath. Almost perfect, she whispers. But then, something happens. One morning, she forgets your best friend's name, just for a moment. But you feel it, a flicker, a misstep. That night, she looks shaken, as if the vessel is rejecting her. You push again, harder this time, not with your body but with your will. And she notices. The crack across your chest grows wider, longer. The light inside it pulses. Something inside you is waking up. Something she didn't expect. You're not like the others. You're not just another empty shell. You remember, and you fight. The next dream isn't hers. It's yours. You're not a child. Not trapped in some twisted nursery of memories. You're standing in a dark forest, alone, but powerful. And in your hand, the doll, burning, screaming, turning to ash. You stare down at her melting porcelain face and say nothing. Not out of mercy, but because you no longer need words. She tries to speak, but the fire eats her tongue. She tries to run, but the shadows grab her ankles. You don't move. You watch her dissolve one fragment at a time. You wake up gasping. In your own bed, your real bed. Light pours through the window. The city outside hums with life. You leap up, stumble to the mirror. Look, and there, you, only you, I still yours. Chest smooth, the crack, gone. She's gone. You exhale, long, shaking, free. But as you leave the room, heart pounding with the weight of survival, you stop, you turn back, because something's wrong. The air feels too still, and on your pillow, a hair, not yours, braided, blonde, fine as thread. You stare, and from the hallway behind you, the soft creak of a rocking chair that was never there. It's not over. It never was, because she doesn't curse you by haunting you. She curses you by being you, by making you question every single day, every glance in the mirror. Is that really me? Or is she just better at pretending now? And one day, if you let your guard down, if you forget, if you fall asleep just a little too deeply, you'll wake up again, not as yourself, but as her. And this time, she'll make sure you don't come back. The nights grow heavier. The silence between breaths thickens, as if the air itself conspires to suffocate the very essence of your being. You begin to notice the smallest changes. The way your reflection lingers a second too long, the subtle shift in your voice when you think no one is listening, the faint scent of something old and forgotten clinging to your skin. You start avoiding your own shadow, afraid it might betray you. Every corner of your home feels like a trap. Every creak and whisper a reminder that she watches, waits, and bides her time. One evening, as the sun dips beneath the horizon and the world succumbs to twilight, you find yourself drawn to the attic, a place you swore you'd never return. The air is stale, thick with dust and memories better left untouched. Boxes line the walls, filled with relics of a past that feels more like someone else's nightmare. In the center of the room sits an old trunk, its surface scarred and worn, the lock rusted but fragile. Your hands tremble as you reach out, heart pounding a frantic rhythm in your chest. The moment your fingers brush the cold metal, a chill rushes through you, sharp and biting. You force the lock open. Inside, wrapped in faded cloth, lies the doll, whole, untouched by time. Her porcelain skin gleams under the dim light. Her eyes, deep and knowing, seem to pierce your very soul. You want to throw her into the fire, to end this nightmare once and for all. But something holds you back. Curiosity, fear, or the faint hope that if you understand her, you might finally be free. You cradle the doll in your arms and hear a faint whisper curling around your thoughts. We are bound. You shudder. The doll's lips don't move, yet the voice invades your mind, soft as a lover's caress and cold as a tomb. I am the memory you buried, the pain you denied, the darkness you cannot escape. You and I, two halves of a broken soul. A tear slips down your cheek. You want to scream, to fight, to break free, but the truth weighs heavier than chains. She is part of you, and you are part of her. In that moment, the attic walls close in, the air thickens, and the shadows reach out. You realize the curse is not just hers. It's yours, a bond forged in forgotten grief and whispered promises. And as the doll's eyes glow faintly, you understand. Some curses don't end. They evolve. They live. They wait for the moment you finally forget who you are, because only then can they claim you completely. And in that final, endless night, you will fall asleep and never wake again. The days after the attic visit blur into a haze, each moment heavier than the last. Your skin feels taut, as if the doll's cold presence has seeped into your bones. You catch glimpses of her in the corners of your vision, always just out of focus, never fully there, but never truly gone. You stop telling anyone about the nightmares. Who would believe you? You start skipping work, isolating yourself further. Your phone rings once, twice, then silence. Your friends stop asking. Your mother's calls go unanswered. They think you're overwhelmed, stressed, maybe even depressed. But you know the truth. The doll's voice follows you like a shadow, not always spoken, but felt. An icy finger tracing your spine, Sometimes, in the dead of night, she sings, a lullaby twisted and warped, sweet but wrong, curls around your mind, pulling you under. And you realize this isn't just a curse of possession. It's a curse of memory. She doesn't want to destroy you. She wants to remind you of everything you buried beneath the smiles and the years, of the grief you shoved deep into the cracks of your soul, of the loneliness you pretended didn't exist. One night, you wake gasping, clutching your chest. The crack is back, wider this time, like a fissure splitting your soul apart. You stagger to the mirror. Your reflection smiles. But the eyes, they aren't yours. They're hers. The porcelain glinting just beneath your skin. You want to scream, but no sound comes out. You're trapped in a body that's no longer yours. You stumble backward, heart racing, breath shallow. And in the corner of the room, the doll sits on your dresser. Her head slowly turns toward you. Her lips part, but she doesn't speak. She just watches, waiting for you to remember, because this isn't the end. It's only the beginning. The curse that won't let go is not a story. It's a promise, a shadow that will follow you to the edge of your sanity. Because some dolls aren't just forgotten. They're waiting. And when you finally fall asleep, they take everything. You try to fight it. You force yourself to move through days like a ghost, pretending everything is fine. But inside, the battle rages. Your mind becomes a battleground where your identity wrestles with the creeping presence of the doll. Sometimes, when the house is silent, you swear you hear her footsteps just behind you. Soft, deliberate, never quite touching the floor. You spin around, heart in your throat, but see only shadows. Your reflection becomes a tormentor. It smirks when you falter, blinks when you close your eyes, and sometimes, just sometimes, it moves with a mind of its own. You wonder if it's a cruel joke or a warning. Your dreams betray you. The doll returns, whispering secrets in a language you almost understand but can't quite grasp. Her voice drips like honeyed poison, promising release if only you surrender. You refuse, but with every passing night, the line between you and her blurs. You find yourself talking aloud to the empty room, demanding, pleading for what you don't know. You feel watched, judged, and slowly the walls close in. The house that once sheltered you now feels like a prison. One night, the doll appears beside your bed. You freeze, heart hammering, unable to scream or move. Her porcelain face inches from yours, eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. She reaches out, fingers delicate but cold as ice, tracing the outline of your cheek. You flinch, but something inside you trembles. A spark of recognition, or perhaps surrender. Her voice is a breath on your skin. You belong to me, and in that moment, the room darkens. Your body feels heavy, as if pulled downward into the mattress. Your eyes close against your will, and you fall asleep, not into rest, but into oblivion. When you awaken, hours or maybe days have passed. You can't tell. Your memories are fragmented, like shards of broken glass, and the doll is gone, but her presence lingers, a cold shadow in your bones, a whispered warning in the silence. You realize with a chilling clarity that the curse is eternal, because some dolls don't just haunt houses, they haunt souls, and yours is the newest to be claimed. The days stretch into weeks, and with every passing moment, the line between reality and nightmare thins until it almost disappears altogether. You catch yourself staring at empty corners, expecting to see her there. The doll, that fragment of a twisted past, waiting patiently for your guard to drop. You try to reclaim your life. You leave the house during the day, flood your senses with noise and light, desperate to drown out the whispers that follow you like a second skin. But the night is hers. When darkness falls, the temperature plummets, and the silence sharpens into something unbearable. You hear it again, the slow creak of a rocking chair, the scrape of tiny porcelain fingers tracing your skin. You're not sure if it's real or just your mind unraveling, but it doesn't matter anymore. Fear has seeped so deep it's no longer a reaction. It's your new reality. At work, people start to notice. Your eyes glaze over in meetings. Your hands tremble when you try to write. Your voice cracks like glass when you speak. A colleague offers a worried smile. A friend sends a message that goes unanswered. The distance grows, a silent chasm carved by something no one else can see. You keep seeing her in the dark, sitting at the foot of your bed, perched on the edge of your desk, lurking behind the bathroom mirror, always watching, always waiting. One night, driven by desperation and terror, you return to the attic. The old trunk waits for you, like a wound that refuses to heal. You fling it open and find the doll, sitting there as if she's been waiting all along. Her eyes catch the moonlight, glinting with cruel delight. You don't hesitate. You take her outside, your breath visible in the cold air, and throw her into the fire pit. Flames leap eagerly, swallowing porcelain and fabric. She screams, a soundless scream that pierces your soul. You watch as she melts, the cracks spreading across her face until all that's left is ash and smoke. For a moment, you feel free, but then the wind shifts, and with it, a whisper curls around your neck. You can never burn what's already inside you. You turn, but you're alone. Or are you? The fire dies down, but the shadow remains. The curse doesn't need a doll anymore. It lives within you, a poison seeping through your veins, a darkness that no light can touch. You realize the truth you fought so hard to deny. Some curses aren't chains, they're seeds, and once planted, they grow, taking root, spreading, until there's nothing left but the cold, hollow shell of what you used to be. And in the quiet moments before sleep, when the world fades to black, you hear her voice again, soft, insistent, unforgettable. Welcome home. The dawn feels like a betrayal, a false promise of peace that evaporates with the first flicker of light. You rise each morning heavier, as if invisible hands press down on your chest, squeezing tighter with every breath. The world around you moves on, unaware, unfeeling. But inside, the storm never ceases. You try to fight the shadows that twist and writhe beneath your skin. You cling to memories of who you once were, but they slip like water through trembling fingers. Your reflection has become a stranger, a mask fractured and distorted. The eyes staring back at you hold a secret you dare not speak aloud. The doll's curse is no longer about her. It's about you and what you're becoming. Voices echo in your mind, low and insidious, threading through your thoughts like venom. They speak of forgotten things, childhood fears, lost loves, betrayals too painful to name. Each whisper strips away a layer of your soul, leaving you more hollow than before. You begin to question what's real. Are the shadows lurking in corners or just tricks of your unraveling mind? Is the chill against your skin a draft or her touch? The line blurs until it's impossible to tell where you end and the curse begins. You try to reach out, to break free, but every attempt pulls you deeper into the labyrinth. Friends fade away like ghosts, their concern turning to frustration and then silence. Your own voice feels distant, swallowed by the growing void inside. The doll is a memory now, a ghost tethered to your soul. She no longer needs to appear, because her curse has become your truth. You're no longer the victim, you're the vessel, a living shadow, haunted by a forgotten doll whose curse never truly ends. In the darkest hour before dawn, when the world holds its breath, you hear her voice again, not a whisper this time, but a promise. You belong to me forever. And in that moment, something inside you fractures completely. The last thread holding you to the world you knew snaps like brittle glass. Your thoughts scatter, tumbling into the abyss, swallowed by a darkness that is no longer just around you, but inside you. The doll's curse is no longer a distant threat or a haunting memory. It is your existence. You wander through days that bleed into nights without distinction, your skin crawling with the sensation of unseen eyes watching, always watching. The air grows colder, thicker with an unseen weight, pressing down like a suffocating shroud. Every step feels heavy, every breath a battle. You try to scream, but the sound dies in your throat. You claw at your chest, desperate to tear away the growing void, but your hands meet only flesh and bone, no escape. The doll's presence is woven into your very being, a parasite that feeds on your fear and despair. At times, when the silence is absolute, you think you can hear her laughter, soft, cruel, echoing in the hollow chambers of your mind. It is a sound that chills your blood and fractures your resolve. You remember the nights you spent clutching the doll, trying to understand, trying to bargain for freedom that would never come. You remember the coldness of her touch, the way her porcelain fingers left icy trails across your skin, marking you as hers. Now, you understand the true horror of the curse. It is not about possession or haunting. It is about becoming a shadow of yourself, a vessel for something ancient and unrelenting. The doll is not just an object. It is a curse given form, a manifestation of forgotten pain and endless sorrow. You are trapped in a waking nightmare, where every moment is a battle for your soul. And as the sun sets once more, painting the sky with blood-red hues, you know the truth no one else can see. The doll's curse will never let go, because some darkness isn't meant to be escaped. It is meant to be lived forever. The nights grow longer, the shadows deeper, until the very air around you feels thick with despair. Your heartbeat, once a steady drum, now stutters and skips like a broken record, echoing the fractured rhythm of your unraveling mind. Every flicker of light becomes a taunt, a reminder of a world slipping further beyond your grasp. You find yourself drawn to places you once avoided. The attic, the dim corners of your home where dust settles like forgotten memories. There, the air is heavy with silence and something else, a lingering trace of her presence. The doll's influence permeates everything, as if the very walls remember the weight of her curse. Sometimes you catch glimpses, just for a moment, in reflections that aren't your own. A flash of porcelain skin, glassy eyes, and a twisted smile that promises nothing but despair. Your breath catches, your body freezes, and then the vision vanishes, leaving you alone with the echo of your pounding heart. You start to understand that this curse is a parasite of the soul. It feeds on your fears, your regrets, your buried grief. It doesn't just haunt you. It consumes you, piece by piece, until there is nothing left but a hollow shell. In the rare moments of clarity, you remember who you were before the darkness took hold. A person full of hope, dreams, and the simple joy of being alive. But those memories feel distant, like fragments of a past life slipping through your fingers like smoke. The doll's lullaby returns, soft and insistent, weaving through your dreams like a twisted hymn. It coils around your mind, pulling you deeper into the abyss where light cannot reach. You try to resist, to fight back, but the fight is exhausting, wearing you down until resistance feels impossible. And in those moments, when your will falters, the curse tightens its grip. You realize now that the doll was never just a toy. She was a vessel of sorrow and rage, a manifestation of a past wrong that refuses to be forgotten. And now that legacy is yours to bear. The curse that won't let go has claimed you, and there is no escape, no salvation, only the endless night, and the cold, unyielding whisper of her voice, always near, always watching. You belong to me. The weight of those words presses down on you like a stone sinking in a dark ocean. You want to scream, to fight, to tear yourself free, but every ounce of strength feels drained, swallowed by the relentless void that has become your reality. The doll's voice, once a distant echo, now thrums through your veins, a dark melody you cannot silence. Your nights become a twisted ritual, trapped between waking and sleep, where the doll's presence grows stronger, more tangible. She moves through the shadows like a predator stalking her prey, her eyes glowing with cruel delight. You feel her breath on your neck, her cold fingers tracing patterns on your skin, leaving marks that no one else can see but you. You try to tell yourself it's just your mind unraveling, a symptom of stress or trauma. But deep down, you know the truth. This is something older, darker, something alive, something that won't rest until it owns you completely. One evening, as the sky bleeds crimson and the house creaks with secrets, you find yourself drawn once again to the attic. The air is thick with dust and forgotten memories. There, beneath a shroud of cobwebs, the trunk sits waiting. Your hands tremble as you lift the lid, and your breath catches in your throat. Inside, the doll lies broken but not defeated. Her porcelain face is cracked, one eye missing, but her smile remains, twisted and eternal. You realize then that the curse is not bound to her physical form. Destroying the doll was never enough. The darkness has already seeped into your soul, spreading like ink in water. You want to run, to escape this nightmare, but your feet won't move. The doll's eyes seem to burn into yours, pulling you in, trapping you deeper. A voice whispers, soft, seductive, deadly, "There is no leaving, there is only becoming." And with those words, the last remnants of your resistance crumble. You are no longer the person you were. You are the curse, the forgotten doll's final, terrifying legacy. And in the silence that follows, you hear her voice one last time, echoing through the shadows, wrapping around your very being. Forever, in that final moment, as the last flicker of light fades from your eyes, you understand the cruel truth with a clarity that shatters your soul. The curse was never about escape. It was about surrender, an eternal dance with darkness that consumes everything you once held dear. Your reflection dissolves into shadow, your heartbeat slowing until silence claims you completely. But even in the stillness, the doll's voice lingers, soft, cold, and infinitely patient, promising a fate worse than death. Endless existence as a ghost trapped between worlds, forever tethered to a curse that will never let go. And so, the story ends where it began. In the cold embrace of night, beneath the weight of forgotten sorrow, with the whisper that haunts every restless soul. Welcome home.